right, guys, welcome back to Gat Cat Till. Today we are taking a look at a brand new suppressor. So, what's new and what is special about Stacy's mom from Resilient Suppressors? To ask ourselves a question now, with the 5.56 market being so diverse at this point and widely available and all coming in around the same price, what makes this the new so special? Well, Stacy's mom does a pretty cool trick, and it's the fact that we can actually remove this end cap, which is not the end cap. This is a solid welded unit. We can fully pull out the vented cap and put in either the mid cap, which is designed to be that medium, or in this case, the flush cap, which is designed to completely cut off any of the excess bleed out. And so what happens here is we're no longer having to decide for a permanent situation, whether you're wanting to go with something like the B&T flow through design, or you have reduced blowback and you just have the qualms of reduced blowback, it's louder, right? However, when you have a system that you're able to customize, like you can with the Stacy's mom, so you've got the solid vent cap, which is going to give you better suppression, a little bit change in recoil, and a little bit deeper tone. Or you're going to have the full vent, which essentially recessed all the way down into the can, and then you've got a little space where the gas is going to have the option to essentially funnel like a jet around the exit and then push out with less restriction. So what that does is it's going to have less explosion gas holding up in the can and then blowing back at the shooter. This gives you less gas to the face. This gives you less recoil impulse because now it's not chambering and rocking as fast. And if you're using something like a super safe, it's gonna make the rate of fire change just a little bit. Now it comes at a cost, right? Because that's too many benefits. At the cost, it's gonna be a little bit louder to the shooter, and it's gonna be a lot louder in my experience downrange. But that's just one of the trade-offs of having a reduced blowback system, or reduced back pressure system in this case. Now, some other cool facts that we're going to talk about is that you've got a massive blast chamber on this guy. It is designed to be able to house whatever muzzle device you want to use because, again, it is hub capable. So if you wanted to use a 14.7 inch barrel and you want to go ahead and pin and weld that, what would that be, a 1.3 inch muzzle device or a 1.5 inch muzzle device to your gun, to make it the full 16 inches, thank you ATF, you're going to be able to do that and still utilize this can. Now, what we're doing is using a Resilient Atlas. This is the Resilient Atlas XL, and we're going to be using a Resilient Atlas on our AB for a little bit of a comparison, just to see how the sound signature sounds. Now, I'm not going to bore you with any more details. Instead, we're just going to kind of get right into shooting. And the two weapons of choice today is we've got our Niktia Systems Santan build, aka our Geisley Mark 16. And today we're also going to be running our sledgehammer charging handle from the guys over at Break Arms, just to see if it really does help with gas. Now, our secondary host for the day is going to be our AUG. It's not called AUG, it's AUG. Now the AUG is a little bit special because it's a bullpup. This is a 16-inch barrel, so we're gonna be able to use it on that. But one of the things I don't like about it is you've got your ejection port right next to your ear, so it's loud regardless. But one thing this gun does not like is going to be excess back pressure. So we should be able to see how it runs with both end caps just for comparison. And then we'll also throw on the AB for each one and see how it does. And then one last thing that we're gonna do is actually show you exactly how our grouping may change between both end caps, since one of the advertised things is that it's gonna have an effect on your recoil control. So if we're able to control one better than the other, we should be able to see a tighter group running in fasty mode for a 5-shot group, and we're gonna do it on the ID target behind me. So without further saying, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and start our first test, which is recoil mitigation. 5 rounds loaded in. Ooh, feels like it may need a little bit of oil there. Got it in our middle happy position. We've got an ID target. Let's go ahead and see how we do. I hit the 100-yard target, so that's pretty cool. honestly, 2 shots on top of each other and about the size, but almost all of them in the A zone. Okay, let's go ahead and let it cool for a second, and we're gonna go ahead and try the vented. This is the full vent, not the mid vent. We didn't have a chance to get the mid vent. They weren't quite ready yet, but let's go ahead and see if our group is improved. It felt easier to control. And again, it looks like the first 2 shots, maybe dead center. It just looks like a tighter group. We'll go check it out. So honestly, that vented end cap, the gun felt lighter. Like the recoil impulse was noticeably different, and I honestly did not expect it to be that noticeable. The grouping size is a little bit tighter. I'd still like to tighten this up just a hair, but honestly, we got the first 2 shots, and then we probably pulled to here, and then that last one was when I was trying to just recover. So honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a big win. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and do a couple qualitative sound tests. We're still using the vented end cap. We're gonna go ahead and stick still with our, and I know I followed the charging handle, it's a little gunky. We're gonna still stick with our 11.5 for now. We're gonna move on to the AUG. We're gonna take 1 shot, pause, 1 shot, pause, 1 shot, pause. So 3 shots total, then we'll move to the AUG. No ringing ears. Honestly, this is such a well-tuned gun. It runs great. And with all the gas busting technology in this thing, it's pretty phenomenal. But let's see how it compares on the AUG. All right, guys, we've gone ahead and changed out to the Steyr AUG. I'm feeling very German now. Any diehard fans out there? And yes, this sling is a very bad placement. 3 shots. We're gonna see how it sounds. This is the vented end cap. I'm ringing really bad. 16-inch barrel, not the can's fault. Really bad representation. We probably should have done this with my M4. This guy right here, right next to my ears. However, from your perspective, you should hear a difference. Now, we're having to let this cool between changing it around, but in reality, these are full auto rated up to what the kit is considered for. I believe it's 210 rounds, which is basically 6 on the body, 1 in the gun for 30-round magazines. That's the load that it was based on. You can get this thing up to about 1,000 degrees. Once you hit that threshold, you need to let it cool down. It's a pretty cool feature for such a entry-level can. All right, guys, so we've gone ahead and changed out to the AB Warthog A10. This is actually the can that lives on this gun. This gun has been tuned for this can, but I want you to hear a comparison. Now, we've heard the vented. We're gonna go ahead and change out once it's cooled down and hear the flow. I'm sorry, the non-flow, the solid cap for both setups. 1, 2, 3 shots. And we just wanna compare it to something that's in the appropriate price range, which this can meets that mark. So we're not gonna go fast. We're just gonna take it nice and slow. 3 shots. You know what? Stacy's mom's quieter. Honestly, this has been used for so long and I've gotten so used to the way this sounds. I honestly feel like it has a little bit bitier ring to it. Stacy's mom is a little bit deeper tone. It's less harsh on my ears. Whereas this one, it sounds good. It's still quiet, I'm not ringing, but it has a bite to it that I didn't get necessarily from the Stacy's mom. All right, guys, AB, A10, on, AUG, ears because that port is no joke. 3 shots. All right, guys, we've gone ahead and put the solid end cap on here. Let's go ahead. We're gonna do 3 shots, change to the AUG, 3 shots. This is just for sound quality. Nice little after sound there. Not too bad. Again, this is the solid end cap. All right, guys, 3 shots, solid end cap, AUG. All right, guys. Well, it was actually a really fun time testing out the Stacy's mom from Resilient Suppressors. Now, Resilient Suppressors go back to the Form 1 days. I remember Tyler and Andrew and all them posting on the Form 1 boards. I used to be real heavily involved in that. In fact, one of my favorite 300 blackout cans is one that I designed and made with input from that community back in the day. And these guys have taken everything they learned from the feedback from people who designed these things that were engineering, and they put them into their Form 4 designs. And I think that Tyler really harvested a lot of what was going on in that community when he designed this can. Now, you're getting a lot of feature set for not a huge R&D price. Honestly, the replaceable end cap is a game changer because you're not doing the whole end cap. It's still a welded can. You're just literally doing the very center part. And they offered in 3 stages, so you can have the best of both worlds. You can have your cake and you can eat it too. Now, they designed this to be more of a use the vented caps on ARs, either the mid or the full vent, and then they want you to use the solid caps for more of bolt guns, and that makes sense. One of the things I complained about in the anechoic review was they made a can that was lightweight, designed around bolt guns, but it was flow through, but it was a hybrid flow through and it didn't really work. But this honestly works. The flow through design helped us stay on target a lot easier under fast rate of fire, and it was still a fast rate of fire. Like, fun. But nevertheless, the flow through actually worked. And when we went to the solid, it sounded a little bit deeper, but for some reason, every now and then, the solid actually sounded even a little bit louder. And maybe it was just because I'm getting faster bolt release, and so there's probably some issues. Because one of the things about having a heavier bolt and a heavier buffer weight is you're holding that bolt in as long as possible, so you're delaying that blowback just a little bit so the explosion in gas doesn't rock your ears. And I think what's happening is this thing is phenomenally tuned with the vented cap that it just sounds nice versus the flat cap or the closed off cap, because now I'm actually putting too much gas back in the system and it's causing the bolt to travel a little bit faster, and that's causing it to open up just a hair sooner, which has given us a little bit extra boom coming out of the port. It's just a theory, but nevertheless, it's a cool theory that we get to play around with and test, because honestly, this is going to get my recommendation for a can in this price point. If you're budget conscious and you want a 5.56 can, don't necessarily look at the whip machine stuff. Don't go that poor. Go a little bit nicer, and you're going to start getting a good options. You can go with the Otter Creek Labs Polonium, which is honestly very highly revered. It has lower back pressure and great sound suppression, cheap price, extremely durable. But now we've got something on the market that, yes, it's a little bit heavier than some of the other options at 14.7 ounces. Yes, it's a little bit longer at like 6 2/3 inch long. And yes, it's even a little bit fatter. It's like 1.625 for our diameter. So it's a bigger can, it's a heavier can, but it sounds great and it's functional. And you get so much research and design for a little price. And I keep saying that because if you looked at Q's latest 5.56, don't kill me, Kevin, but if you look at his latest offering for their 5.56 can that everyone can try to get their hands on, but it's out of stock everywhere, they say it costs so much money because Q spent so much in the engineering. Well, guys, Resilient is showing you that you don't need to waste all of your money in engineering to get a phenomenal product. So hats off to Resilient for making a phenomenal product that's innovative, it works, and it's just a fun can to run. So if you're looking for a 5.56 can, if you're trying to stay in a budget, definitely check out Stacy's mom. Till next time, guys. Yeah, so I knew I was gaining weight, and so I got on the scale the other day, and I was sucking my gut in. And Fung goes, it's not how that works. It doesn't change. It's like, that's the only way I can see the numbers. Yeah, so, all right.